How's it going, everybody? My name is Artorigold, and today I'm going to be going over a Smurf Hanzo game somewhere around the Platinum to Diamond level. So, one of the things that's going to happen in this game, I think at the beginning, you kind of want to put a sonar or sonic arrow, whatever it's called, and you want to just go ahead and taking care of turrets is always good if there's a Symmetra on the enemy team. That's not always the case, but you can one-shot them. Well, some people have problems with it, so using your sonic arrow as much as possible on corners and areas if you landed on an enemy, by the way, with the sonic arrow, it's extremely good because it'll basically take the arrow with them, and it'll be like a moving sonar sort of situation. So it's really strong. So one of the things that you want to be really careful with is you can sit there and sit at the choke and spam your arrows. It's extremely valuable. You can kind of add to the shield break potential too. As you can see here, I kind of just used my storm bow for some shield break potential. I think it does about 420 damage, and if you add a fully charged arrow, I believe that's 120. So it can apply a lot of pressure to a Reinhardt. One of the things that I think is good though for Hanzo is to use the mobility around walls. Like you see, I'm going back and forth between walls, and one of the things that you can do when doing that is you can charge your shot and hold it down, and the charged shot will continue as you're wall riding. See right there, I'm able to get the shot on him with a charged arrow, which does more damage than just one of the if you instantly fire it, right? So that's one thing to take a note with Hanzo. You always want to climb over walls with a charged arrow and then just retreat behind the wall again if you get into any trouble. And using your sonar, like I'm doing right here, I'm trying to get some really nice headshots on people as they're going around corners. I think everything you should be doing... Oh, this is a really bad situation for me, actually. Really good beat by my Lucio to help me with that. And since the visor came out from the soldier, I'm going to go ahead and back off. I wasn't quite aware of where that positioning was. I guess the soldier was on the high ground and he just chased me. I mean, your dragon has this large AoE. It's very big. It's very difficult for the enemy team to deal with it. And if in this instance, we have a Winston Diva, so we don't have a Graviton. But you can use your, I think in this situation, because you don't have a Graviton to combo your dragon, you really just want to try to use it on basically one person to try and apply damage and pressure to that one person. Or you can try to save it for the payload or whatever you're capturing, the objective, right? Depending on when people are starting to move in on you. So one thing to take notice with Hanzo, you want to use your lunge, your space bar, whatever that mobility move is called, and you basically want to use that to disengage away from the enemy. And don't be afraid to just try and regroup and go to a health pack if you're not getting healed. As you can see, we get the point taken away from us, so it's kind of more of a regroup phase now. But if you're not able to do any damage, or you're out of position, or the enemy's pushing you, try to back off away from them and just light up the storm bow and try to shoot arrows at them when they do that. It really applies a lot of pressure to them, and it's difficult for them to try and chase somebody. I mean, the storm bow, it does 420 damage, which is enough to just one-shot, or not one-shot, but it's enough to kill any 200 health DPS hero or support hero that's trying to 1v1 you, right? So you want to make sure to use that, and since it has such a really nice big glowy blue animation, the enemy team will very much notice that the storm bow is being active, and if they're smart, they'll notice that it's going to be applying a lot of pressure. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about here is this storm bow, or this dragon usage. So there's two things that's good about this dragon. One, it's going to be on the objective and contest the objective, but another thing that it's going to do is it's potentially going to kill someone, and it's also going to separate the enemy team. So one thing about the dragon is you can use it as a separation, and so by going from the flank or the side and using the dragon from this angle, I'm going to be able to split up the enemy team. And as you'll see here, the Zenyatta is cut off. And not only is the Zenyatta going to be cut off, and obviously he's going to die in this dragon, but now the enemy team is not able to touch the point. See, the only way they're able to touch this point is by going through the dragon, which is really difficult to do in a situation like this. So this is a really good way to separate them. And while I'm doing this, you're able to just kind of be patient and aim your shots. Really good boop. This guy's not able to get a good Earth Shatter because of that. So one thing, you always want to land headshots on Hanzo. Obviously, I mean, that's a given. You want to land headshots, but you always want to aim at the head hitbox level. And that's something you'll kind of learn. I think most characters have a different, like, head hitbox, especially, like, tanks have a very different one. For example, D.Va's head hitbox is, like, on the center. Torbjorn and Lucio are too small, but other characters kind of have the same kind of height, and you can always just spam at that certain height once you kind of understand what it is, and just try to land those arrows on that head hitbox. So here we have a Rein Zarya comp, which is really good for a Hanzo, and one of the things to note, if you're having that graviton, then before you use your Dragon Strike, it might be better to hit tab and to look to see when he is close to his grav, or if, you know, if it's close to the grav or if he has it, don't waste your dragon for a separation or a one-pick potential, and instead you could save it for a team wipe, which is much better. So in instances like this where they're trapped, like on this map, they're all trapped right here, I'm just going to use my storm and just spam the choke. And it's a great way to kind of apply pressure to the enemy in the same way as you would apply pressure with a Junkrat, just by spamming your arrows, kind of like how a Junkrat would spam his bombs, is exactly how you should play on instances like that. So another thing with aiming at the head hitbox I'd like to talk about is patience. You'll notice I'll sit there and I'll have a lot of patience with my shots. See right there? I didn't panic. And I think that's really important when playing Hanzo, because yes, the Tracer is unloading bullets into me and this Mercy is trying to pistol me, but one thing that I have that the Tracer doesn't have is the one-shot potential. She has to go through a lot more effort to try and kill me, unless she has Pulse Bomb, but obviously it's the beginning of the game, the control point's at 9%, they don't have Pulse Bomb. So she's going to have to be using her movement to try and dodge all of my shots, and probably a recall as well, and then re-engage once I'm at low health if I'm not getting killed. But for me, all I have to do is make one shot and I win this fight. And if I don't have my Stormbow, I mean, if I have my Stormbow, I could probably just spam the arrows at her and just 2 would probably kill her. But in this instance, I'm just going to remain calm, and I'm going to be able to just land at the head. I mean, even a body shot is good, because if you land a body shot of a full charge arrow, that's 120, and if you use a melee, that's 30 damage, and you add that up, that's quick math, that's 150, and Tracer has 150 health. As long as I landed a full charge body shot with 120, I'm able to finish her off with the melee, and that's all you really need to do. And see right there, she's very scared, and as she should be, and spamming my Stormbow is really good here. I'm going to kind of like kite people. This is a good line of sight. I think if you play Hanzo, it's very similar to playing a Zenyatta in the sense that you have that long-range projectile with no fall-off damage, and you want to shoot at people who are moving in a straight line towards you. So in an instance like this, I'm going to be shooting arrows at them while moving backwards and kiting and saving this ability for when I need it most. So here I'm going to be applying damage and pressure, and because of the Sonic arrow, I know when they're going to be moving around this corner, but I'm not going to get inside the Roadhog's range, right? As soon as he tries to go for that hook, I'm just going to disengage. I'm going to put a sonar here too, because if I don't know where somebody is, putting a sonar in an area like this in the building, it'll tell me information like, is he still here? Is he waiting for me? Where can I go from there? So use sonar as a great way to gather information. And here, since I'm kind of a little bit further away from the point, I'm going to use a dragon, and somehow, which is crazy, I get 2 kills. It's really unbelievable how many kills you get. See, as you can tell, they're capturing the point, right? And they're pretty close to it. And one of the things about Dragon when you're down 1 even, and I think, yeah, it's like 6v5 because they have the res too. The Dragon on the point, especially something that's enclosed, like this is basically just like a prison. It's like a little box and you're kind of trapped in it. And the Dragon's going to take up at least like 50% of all this space. And so it's very difficult for the enemy to disengage from it. And basically they're going to be separated on the objective, and it's going to get a really tough time for them. So using my Dragon in that situation on the point while they're trying to contest it is really powerful. Even though we have the Graviton, I'm able to just unload my Storm arrows into him. And I think one thing that you want to do here is if you see a Reinhardt and he's holding a shield up and he's getting like pocketed by a Moira ult, at that point I think I would rather just reposition to an angle where you can shoot at him and there's no shield protecting him. I mean, as Hanzo, you can apply a lot of damage. Nice shot, by the way. I missed the turret, idiot. But another thing that you can do though is, even though you can apply a lot of pressure to a Reinhardt shield. I believe that if nobody else is shooting at you, you shouldn't just try to do that the whole time, right? Your Stormbow and a charge shot can do about 500 damage, which is 25% of a Reinhardt shield, but 25% is still only 25%, so you really need to try and get help. And in a situation like that, there's no reason for you to try and burn down a shield. I would rather just find a different angle. I don't know what that Moira was doing right there, but you should probably never just stand still. It's not a very good idea. Really unfortunate for Tracer. I think if a Tracer gets in melee range of you as Hanzo, you actually have a much easier time of hitting her head hitbox, rather than if she was fighting you at a more like medium range, which is what I think she should have been doing. So here I got another dragon. I don't know if I even need to wait for a graviton here, because I think it's it's about 80%. I think what I'd like to see here is I just use my dragon a little bit more aggressively to try and separate people. Yeah, I like that dragon. The reason why I like that dragon is it cuts off the enemy completely. It gets a little bit of the point, not a whole lot of it, gets a little bit of it, and then it cuts off this area completely, so the only way people are able to engage are the people that are already here, which is Roadhog. And because this whole area is cut off, nobody's able to protect him, and at the same time it's going to cut off this other side, so people are going to have a tough time moving in the other door as well. So this dragon completely separates the enemy team, and that's really good when it's at 90% to capture the point. So here I'm going to just try to use my sonar arrow near the point, see if anybody's nearby, like a Tracer, you know, in case a Tracer is trying to touch the point at the last second. Wasn't really the case. So, in summary, I think Hanzo is really good this meta. I think he's a really strong projectile DPS. He has a good amount of mobility. He can jump up on walls. I think he works on pretty much just every single map that you play. There's really no wrong map for a Hanzo. Use your dragon with graviton. If not, try to look to use your ultimate to separate the team. Use it on the objective in order to contest the payload or the point, and it's really difficult for the enemy team to try and fight around that, and they'll get separated. And once they're separated, it's super easy for your team to just like push them, especially if you have like a Lucio speed boost, you can just speed right into the people, and then it's basically like 6v3 in that situation because they're all split up. Anyways, that's it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. I hope you guys can leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.